Well, I've always wanted to know how big a B-52 was. We found one. We're going to get out and walk around this thing because I want to know just how big it is to walk around. Oh, they got some interesting stuff here. And primarily that thing right there. The USS Alabama. Okay. USS Alabama, sister ship Massachusetts, Indiana, and South Dakota. Launched February 16th, 1942. And you guys can pause and read the rest of this. Armor, turret faces 18 inches, conning tower 16 inches, side armor 12 inches. That's a foot of steel on the side plating of this thing. Two 5-bladed and two 4-bladed propellers, each weighing 18.5 tons. 32 miles an hour was the speed. She was first commissioned in Battleship Camouflage. She was painted entirely blue in 1944. She would be less noticeable from Japanese aircraft. In 1945, she was gray with a blue hull. Alabama was decommissioned to the Reserve Fleet in 1947. And here's showing the paint system they were using at the time. And here it was commissioned as a landmark in 1946. Here we have the deck. And one of the big guns. This is 18-inch thick steel right here. You can feel it too when you slap it. Here's just a listing of operations. This thing saw some battle. Damage inflicted upon the enemy. 16-inch, over 1,250 16-inch gun projectiles were fired. 22 planes shot down. None. No damage from the enemy. BB-60. Okay. There's a look. And here's a look at one of the big guns. And we have Dinky, or Miri, just throwing a fit. And here's what the projectiles look like. And it's a wooden deck ship. We still have the wooden deck on this thing with some patches in places. Interesting to see the patches. Here's the shell they fired out of the gun. That's going nowhere. They were accurate up to 21 miles away. Here's a look at it. 21 miles away. They're having a dance off. More anti-aircraft guns. Some of the stuff's been removed, obviously. Like, obviously this has been removed. What was once here is probably one of these, just for loading and unloading the ship. Yeah, these are the crane works for loading and unloading the ship. And there's the rear gun and the radar array. Very cool. 40 millimeter quadruple mount. These quads were effective against low-flying attack planes and against kamikaze attacks at medium close range. These mounts fired a rate of 320 rounds per minute for the 4 guns. So it didn't have a high firing rate, but they were big. This is World War II we're talking about. I'll walk around to the side so we can see them a little bit better. Lexington had these on them too. I remember sitting on one on the Lexington. Okay. And the hydraulics and everything behind how they work. Those of you who like to put Greeblies on models, this is prime fodder for thinking about how to do Greebly work. that's exactly what that is. Okay. Well, there's a look at a quad cannon, what they were calling an anti-aircraft gun. Well, we found our way inside the main guns, the rear-facing main guns. This is what it looked like inside these things. Dinky and I, Miri, we call her Dinky at times, we found our way in. The gunner sights are on these tubes. So they aimed them back there, which is really interesting, right? And it's well lit in here. Oh, there's the main breach. The door's open on that side. I know it is. And I know Nellie's never going to find where I went. You can tell they haven't cleaned this for a while either. Dinky, you want to go over there and look? You can't see anything in there. Well, they got this barricaded off really well, so you're not going to get in there. But there's the main breach of the gun down there. Yeah, Dinky doesn't want in here, so I got to get out. Well, this ship had 2,500 people living on it, so they had to use every single bit of space. These are the gun racks from the Marines. The Marine living quarters are right underneath one of the big guns. Look at the size of those rivets. This thing was built like a tank. Basically what it is a big ocean-going tank. Okay? Here's the Marine quarters again. And you can go down further, but we're not going down there. We have a look at an officer's quarters aboard the ship. They actually have a private bed, private stowage for their uniforms and stuff, and a sink. They were lucky. They got a sink. Not much. Here we have damage control, and this ship never took any damage in World War II, so it was one of the lucky ones. Well, we found the engine room.
No, this stinks.
You imagine being in here for hours on end every day?
This stinks bad.
It is what it is. Okay? It is what it is. It's an engine room. To the boilers, I thought this would be a steam-powered ship.
Don't they have the atomic bombs here?
Not on this one. This is a battleship BB. It wouldn't have carried that sort of thing. Okay? Well, we are in the magazine room for the Mark 12 guns, the 5-inch guns. Okay? Down here, they made the magazines, and then they piped them up to the loading room, which is there. Here's where they did the magazines, pumped them up, and then fired the guns. This is underneath the guns. And you can see some of the magazines and some of the shells they used. These are the 5-inch guns. They're not the big 16-inch guns. Now we're in the loading room for one of the big guns. You can tell by the size of those shells. Okay? And loading the magazines by chain.
How do we get up? Hurry, we're going. Can we go down here?
Well, as long as we don't lose Grandpa.
What?
As long as we don't lose Grandpa. And I have to take Dinky. We are in the loading room. Those 3 pills are gunpowder packages that would come out of the vault over there. And there's an elevator back behind this, which raised them up to the main shells. Okay? You come down these stairs, which I'm sure were installed afterwards, because access was by a ladderway over there, which is blocked off, so tourists don't hurt themselves. Okay? And I'm sure these were still more places that held the shells. I just really could not imagine being on this thing in World War II. Oh, Canadian geese, that's rare. As we go up the stairs. Okay, we have World War II aircraft. Okay. And this is the Sky Raider medical services truck from World War II. So that we could get 3 people in it at once. Mustang. We have a seaplane up there. You see the pontoon on it. We have a modern jet in here. with the canopy not closed off. That's one of the things that irritated me about the Lexington, is the canopies were closed off, and there was no point in that. And this is F-16. It's not like I'm going to climb up there and look inside that canopy. That's not happening. Oh boy. There are not many of those out here either. F-15, you don't really know how big these things are until you get a look at them. F-18. Did not know this was here. Well, this makes the trip worth it alone. Yeah, it does. Well, here we got to look at the engine for the SR-71. I'm assuming, because the temperature range on this is crazy. Can't even imagine building an engine to withstand at those kind of temperatures, 2,000 degrees. Here's one firing with the afterburner, and you can see it's glowing. Okay, and some performance charts. And here's a look at this engine. The output end. No telling what these materials are to handle that kind of heat and sustained heat. And you can see the heat discoloration on it, so it's been used. This thing has been used. Definitely been used. And the air intake. And more heat discoloration on it. And again, there is an SR-71 in our midst. So I've seen two of these things now. One at the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C., and the one here. There's a tire, and this is the radar absorbing material. And here's one of the tires.
And in those containers labeled out there was 12 containers that were filled. But they got all 84 targets. You know how far up they were?
Okay, let's read what this says. The main landing gear tires on the Blackbeard have some very difficult problems to overcome. They are subjected to very high heat for several hours at a time. Temperature inside the wheel wells exceeds 800 degrees Fahrenheit. The main gear has to support the weight of the entire aircraft on landing and takeoff speeds above 180 knots. Blackbird has the heaviest footprint of any Air Force aircraft ever made. Each tire in the main gear has contact path of only 13 square inches. And this is after 3 landings and what this tire looks like. It is silver in color because they're made with aluminum powder. That is one heck of a tire. And you can see some right there in the wear on them. I apologize. As I had said it. More you want me to do? Okay. Here's some more technical papers on the SR-71. Just found them sitting here after playing with the flight simulator for a little bit. I'm sure you can find all this stuff online if you look for it. Although I'm pretty sure the whole thing hasn't been declassified yet. There's some camera systems here. And I'm not going to mess with showing you the camera systems. And milestones for the plane, description, photos, fuel quantity. Six fuel tanks. This thing holds almost 10,500 gallons of gas, 68,000 pounds of gas. This thing is practically all fuel tank. Almost the whole fuselage is fuel tank. Well, to move that fast, you got to burn some fuel. So that does not surprise me. Okay? Really does not surprise me. We're not going to go into that. We're not going to go into that. Looking to see if there's anything else about the plane around here. It just talks about the pilot. But it's really cool to see one of these things. And I'm being yelled at by my daughter. You can hear her in the whole place. I just saw something. And again, we have an F-18 here. A Huey. It says President of the United States on it. Another Jeep. Another F-18, if I had to guess right. But this is one of the old Thunderbird planes. No, it's a YF-17. Okay. One of these, and this is close enough to actually touch, and that feels like plastic. That does not feel like metal. Interesting. Okay. Actually got to touch one of these. All right, I'm going back to the daughter. She's up next to walk through a submarine.
Right.
It's a USS Drum. Okay? And we have to go upstairs to get to it. It's definitely landlocked. It's not going anywhere ever again unless, we get a huge flood here. Well, we found the forward torpedo room. It's where they held torpedoes. And there's the Martha. There's a torpedo right there. Okay, so the Mark 14 torpedo, not that small. It had 6 forward torpedo tubes. Okay, and we gotta climb through some really small holes here, don't we? And we have crew quarters in the submarine. You have no room for nothing. It's a submarine, so they are small. Here's the kitchen. You want to cook in that kitchen?
No.
No. Walking forward, what do we have here? Oh, this is the captain's mess, probably.
Look, chocolate.
Where?
I want some chocolate.
Me too.
More crew quarters.
Yeah, I'm always confused. If these.
Okay, this is like a captain's room because look, it has a sink. It has a desk. Here's probably the hospital. And over here, more crew quarters. Put 5 of you in here. Yeah, be good friends with your buddies.
Like a sleepover.
Here we have the main control room with lots of gauges and dials. We can make crazy people happy in this room.
What?
Okay, and I don't know how big it is up there, so
I'll
don't
go
think-
first since I'm the tiniest.
Martha's going first.
Okay, so you need to.
See through to the top. We found the periscope room.
What?
It's probably, no, it doesn't look like it's blocked. You can see out of it. Yeah, you can see the building.
What?
If you look, I don't think it'll turn though.
I can't.
No, it's locked.
I can't. I'm a shorty.
I'll put you up there in a minute. Okay? Charts. All sorts of cool stuff. All right, BB. I'm going to put you up there real quick, okay? Good enough. Again, up here, here's the conning tower. There's the periscope, so you can see. I don't know if the periscope could go further down into the main control room or not. I'll look in a second. But this is interesting, and there's a BB. Yeah. No, let's get down, okay? Radio room. Oh boy, you better not be claustrophobic to be in there.
Oh, that's a creepy man.
Okay.
Why? It's so creepy here.
Ah, there's the kitchen. Here's where we fed people. The front was the officer's mess.
We fed people?
Yeah, they fed people. They had ice cream. There's an ice cream machine.
Oh.
Yeah. The sink. Here's where they sat.
There's a freezer.
Yep.
A freezer.
And refrigerator down below.
Oh, the bed.
A refrigerator.
There's a movie this ship was in World War II. Here's the sailors on it. I wonder what the crew size was.
My new big.
So like as soon
My
as
hair.
you were getting ready to get back in the bunk, after you did your watch, someone would be just
Maybe
getting
you
out
can
of
stick
it.
in the bottom.
So crew size was probably about 60 people. Let's keep going, counting beds. There's 30 beds, so there's about the crew size of 60.
That is so.
On this, can you imagine being on here with 60 other people? There's the bathroom. There's the bathroom. Everyone would know when you go, because, well, you're in a submarine. You fart in a submarine, everyone knows.
The showers or something.
There's your shower and your clothes washer.
Is that the shower?
Yep, that's the shower. And we're getting to the engine room here. This would be the engine room.
Fun getting out of this place.
Here's the engine room.
What is this?
My guys.
Diesel engines.
What is this? Start. Run. Stop. What is this?
That's the engine, BB. This is the engine room. This is the engine room.
To lose weight.
What? What is this?
So in some like it looks like one of those things where you get in and you lose weight or something.
It's not. This is what the cutoff. Cutout of what it is. This is the crankshaft of the engine. You look down here, it shows you the insides of the engine down at the bottom.
Mine.
These are the engines that powered this thing.
Those beds were surprisingly comfortable.
Try it after someone's been in there for 8 hours. See.
Oh,
I was trying to hide.
that won't work.
Oh, if I was there, it would have worked.
This is the battery room, probably.
Yeah, really tiny.
Yeah, this is the battery room. This thing ran on electric power for quite a bit.
Oh.
Can you imagine being the one who runs all these batteries all the time?
No.
Let's let them go by if they want to go by.
You wanna go by, Brooks? Look at that.
Forward this one. You have to push it really down.
Yeah, I know. But again, this is the battery room. It shows you the generators, the motors, and everything
What
that's
is
being
this?
consumed by power.
What is this?
That's to turn the voltage up and down on the batteries and the motors. Okay? Let's climb on through. We're about to the end of this tour.
Yeah.
Ah! Except for my head bonked that had to bonk the top. This is the aft torpedo room.
They have beds here. Mom, we already been here.
Hey, look, 2 free bags of chips. 3.
Aft torpedo room.
Wow.
And it smells old and oily in here.
Yes, it does. There's
All right,
3
we're going
bags
out
of
to
chips.
see daylight. This is from the Civil War. It is a man-powered submarine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people crank this thing manually. It's a replica. It's not the real thing. Okay? This is a replica of a man-powered submarine. 8 people pumping a crank. No motor, BB. Just 8 people pumping a crank.
I was about to spit my friend.
Can you imagine being in that thing? I wouldn't even fit through the entry hatch. I'm too big. Well, we ended up in New Orleans for dinner, and it happens to be St. Patrick's Day, and Nellie picked a restaurant at random, which happens to be, hello, which happens to be in the French Quarter, about 1 block off Bourbon Street. So I thought I'd get the camera out and videotape this little bike parade. So I thought I'd tape that. It would be fun.